Story 1. Am I the a-hole for refusing to boycott my husband's party and photo shoot because he excluded my disabled son from it? My 42 female, husband 48 male of 3 years, and I have a blended family. He has 2 daughters, 17 and 10 female, and I have a daughter, 11 female, and a son, 14 male, Ethan. My son has cerebral palsy, but despite being in a wheelchair, he's mostly independent, and all but one of his grades in school has been an A or B. My husband is a dentist who started his own practice 2 years ago and has been growing his social media presence. He wanted to showcase his kids and family as part of it, so we've done cute pictures of the girls with cute pink scrubs sitting in Dad's chair, stocking up the waiting room with toys, etc. Since the social media accounts have been gaining traction, there's been a lot of drama. His ex, 47 female, was angry that her younger daughter was being tagged in posts that listed Botox as part of the services offered. She also said her 10-year-old could not consent to being featured on a public Instagram the way her older sister could. So my younger stepdaughter was erased from my husband's public accounts. Labor Day is coming up, and my husband is throwing a party and doing a photo shoot. My husband wanted to showcase us as a blended family, so I assumed it would be all our kids minus his 10-year-old. However, he told me he wasn't crazy about having Ethan at the party. He does suffer from dysarthria, so his speech can be a bit distorted. However, my husband's major concern is that Ethan can be a bit slow with social cues and can talk on and on. It's been a bit of an adjustment with regards to my husband and Ethan. Ethan is known as a class clown. Most people think he's funny, but my husband complains he doesn't get the jokes. In addition, while my husband has introduced my daughter to a lot of business associates and on social media, a lot of people don't really know that much about Ethan. My husband said he didn't want a picture with Ethan, and people online going, "Wait, who is he?" My husband asked that we send Ethan to his dad's for the party and photo shoot. I asked my ex to take him for the long weekend, and he was upset. He said my husband looks down on disabled people, and he's been excluding Ethan. He demanded I say that either both kids are included or none are. I told him I was not going to threaten to not support my husband at his event or photo shoot. It's his party and therefore his choice, and I wasn't going to ruin his wish to have a blended family present/picture. My ex said he thinks I'm in some honeymoon period fog, and that he liked my husband at first, but he sees scorn in the way he looks at Ethan. He said mark his words, and that if I didn't stick up for Ethan, he'd be exerting his own parental rights to the fullest extent going forward with regards to both kids. Am I the a-hole? I wish my husband would invite Ethan, but sometimes two people have trouble getting along, and I think that's what's happened here. My husband has countless patients who are sick or disabled. The word scorn is an insult to his character. Do you think she is in some sort of fog about the husband? I kind of think she is. He really wants to have a perfect blended family. It's like that family at the beginning of Crazy Rich Asians that were doing this photo shoot that were just at the very best angles, just sitting there completely stiff. He wants the best of both worlds. He wants the cute girls to be a part of the social media presence, but doesn't want the disabled son. And she's respectful of his business, but he's involving the family here, the whole thing of the family, and he's not respecting the whole family. So I think she's kind of in a fog. What do you think? Story 2. How to use a strict teacher's 2-strike rule to ace a test. This didn't happen to me, but to my dad, and it's one of my favorite stories he tells. Some years ago, by which I mean 2 or so decades roughly, my dad was at a several-day course to earn some additional qualifications for his job. On the final day, there was going to be a multiple-choice test to actually pass the seminar. On test day, everyone got settled into place, and the teacher announced that he would not go easy on cheaters. You had one strike to be caught trying to copy off of someone else or use a cheat sheet, but if you were caught a second time, you would be immediately thrown out and your score made invalid. Now, this teacher was very old school strict and treated grown working people like unruly school children, and my dad does not like that very much. So, my dad proceeds to take the test, and it goes pretty well. When he's through with the questions, there's just one left where he's not sure he's got it right. And he has a free strike after all. So my dad yells out into the class, just calls out, "What's the answer to question 14? Some complete bro elsewhere in the room yells the answer back. My dad fills in the sheet, gets up, walks to the teacher's desk, presumably tries not to trip on the teacher's jaw as it lies on the floor, hands in his test, and leaves the room. To the teacher's credit, he approached my dad afterwards with some begrudging respect. I don't know if he changed his policy afterwards or the tone in which he conveyed it. Perfect. Know the rules. Know what you are allowed to do. This guy followed it to the letter. As it said on that one animated show, you're technically correct. The best kind of correct. Story 3. Change your outfit. You're a girl. So, a few weeks ago, I was in a grocery store, right? Nothing unusual. I had a particularly rough day, so I wasn't in the mood for dressing up. Just a blue t-shirt from one of my old schools, shorts, and sneakers. I had just finished getting everything I needed when I got into line. That's when I saw Entitled Parent. Now, this woman only had 2 things in her cart. Her toddler, a little boy who was probably around 3, and way too much booze. I mean, like the whole cart section of the cart was absolutely filled with bottles. Also worth mentioning that this woman, probably mid-30s, was wearing a hot pink crop top. All right, that's pretty bad, but it's not my business, and I'm not in the mood to argue with someone. She pays for her things and begins to leave, so I begin to do the same. I'm at the card chip reader when I feel a tap on my shoulder. I turn around, and the trouble begins. Me. Hello, ma'am, can I help you? Her. Yes, I was wondering if you could change your shirt. Dumbfounded, I say, I'm sorry, what? She says, well, blue is not a girl's color, and I don't want my son to get the wrong idea about what is acceptable to wear. Me. I'm sorry, I will not be doing that. If you want your son to learn those types of things, you can do it at your house, but I'm allowed to wear whatever I feel like wearing. Entitled Mother. Oh, don't be so unladylike. Just change out of that shirt. Me. I will, if you can give me one good reason. Entitled Mother. Blue is not for girls. Me. Okay, well, crop tops aren't for witches, but you're here. At this point, I just made sure I had everything and walked away. I heard her mutter something to the cashier as I left, but I couldn't hear her, and honestly, I don't care. Blue is not for girls? I mean, I remember seeing those kinds of things growing up. Blue for boys, pink for girls. I don't even think it was always that way. And who decides that anyway, and why would it be? You should always wear pink like you're in a Barbie movie all the time? I don't think so. There are other colors in the rainbow, and you should take advantage of them if you want to like what you look like. Story 4. Today I fracked up by making my boyfriend a Tinder account. Okay, so necessary, this actually happened in the last couple of weeks. Basically, my boyfriend suffers from pretty low self-esteem. Like, it's not like he's too bothered about his looks, but he rates himself a 5 out of 10 at best. Obviously, I think he's gorgeous and handsome, but even though I've been saying this for years, he doesn't believe me. So for some stupid reason, I decided to show him that other girls would find him attractive by making him a Tinder account. I set him up an account, make him a bio, and just start swiping right. After a day, he got around a dozen matches on Tinder, And after I showed this to him, I saw how he immediately became more confident and thanked me for the whole gesture. Cue my surprise when a couple of days later, I checked the Tinder account I had basically forgotten after 24 hours, and I could see lots of messages sent to a lot of the girls my boyfriend had matched with. I confronted him, and he denied it, but I mean, these messages even included promises to meet each other. Obviously, we broke up, and out of curiosity, I checked the Tinder account again after a week, and this breakup has clearly not slowed him down one bit. So now the Tinder I made for him not only broke us up, but is now helping him navigate his newly single life. Oh, that is just awful. I mean, you were trying to do this to boost the confidence of someone you love, I would hope, if you're in a relationship, and it really bit you in the butt. It's just the really literal manifestation of no good deed goes unpunished. There should have been some other way to boost his confidence. Some other way, without just unleashing him on the female population like this. And I'm sorry that you broke up over that. I really hope you find someone else.
Please like and subscribe if you made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 5. Am I the a-hole for leaving my boyfriend when his ex passed away, leaving him to take care of his kids full-time? I, female 26, have been living with my boyfriend, male 30, for 2 years now. He has 2 kids, male 6, female 4, with his ex-girlfriend. She moved to another state with the kids to be near her family when they broke up 3 years ago. He got them on vacations only. I knew all this when I started dating him. I had no issue with this, but told him that I can't be a parent. I was parentified by my mom and raised my 5 younger siblings. The oldest of them is 6 years younger to me, and I had to change his diapers and feed him formula. I went LC with my family and left home at 18. I can't imagine doing that again. He was also sniped after the last kid and didn't want more kids. He was fine with me not wanting to be a parent and just be a bonus adult. We were taking it slow, and I didn't even meet his kids until a few months back. We took a trip together and got along great. Things changed 2 months ago when his ex passed away. Kids were really crushed as they moved into his house. We're not living together, but he asked if I could move in to help him out. Just for a while. I couldn't refuse and stayed, but I started hating it again. I hate how clingy the kids became and how much responsibility I had. I did my best, but my mental health started getting worse every day. I didn't even get help from my boyfriend because he was struggling too. Last week was especially bad since the younger kid had a cold and wanted me to nurse her back to health exactly as her mom would have. The soup wasn't the same, the song and story wasn't told the same way, I didn't hug her the way her mom did, etc., were some of the long list of complaints. I know she's grieving, but I was already working from home and stressed too. When I told my boyfriend he should take over, he said they need me more since I am a mom. It triggered me. I didn't want to be held to a mom's responsibilities again. I told him I can't do this. He said I needed to stop acting like a child and step up. I understood if I stayed my whole life would be like this. Never measuring up, never being enough, and all the responsibilities of a mom. I left yesterday, moved in with a friend. My boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, is blasting my phone, calling me an a-hole. Am I the a-hole? It doesn't sound like he's contributing. You said he isn't giving you any help. And you just said, for a little while. And it sounds like he was trying to trap you into being a mom forever. You might have been good at it, but I don't think you're quite the a-hole. You let it stand and said it that you didn't want to be a parent again, that you wanted to be a bonus adult. These aren't your kids. And I don't think you're the a-hole. You didn't want to be a part of this. You would only help for like a little while. And I don't think he gave you an end date. I don't know. What do you think? Story 6. Delusional neighbor bangs on the shared wall when our baby cries, and nothing can be done about it? I live in a duplex in Washington State with my husband and my son, who's only a few months old. My father-in-law owns half of the duplex and is renting it to us, and the other half is owned by an older woman and her adult daughter. My father-in-law has known the women for over 15 years and told us before we moved in that the daughter was mentally ill and had strong delusions on occasion that caused trouble with the previous tenants. The last tenants apparently had to get a civil anti-harassment order placed against the daughter, but eventually moved out when the behaviors never stopped. Apparently, the neighbor accused them of kidnapping and abusing their children and abusing their dogs. My husband and I brought our son home a few months ago, and we didn't have any issues with the neighbor until about 2 weeks ago. She's been banging on and throwing things at the walls when our son cries. She screams at us as well, but I usually can't hear what she's actually saying. You know, over the screaming baby. And the 2 dogs went absolutely ballistic because of the banging. It's absolute chaos, and it's made my postpartum anxiety so much worse. Every time the baby cries, I experience intense panic, waiting for the screaming and banging to start. We've called the non-emergency police line twice when I can't handle it anymore and feel close to a meltdown. And the first time, they talked to her and she stopped doing it as often. Maybe once every 2 days. Tonight, she is back at it and worse than ever. The air quality is so bad right now from the fires that I can't let the dogs out for long to stop them from barking, and the barking makes the baby cry harder, which makes the neighbor scream and pound on the walls harder. The officer I spoke with says we can try to get a civil anti-harassment order placed, but he knew for a fact her behaviors never stopped after the last tenants tried that, and he said his unofficial advice would be to live somewhere else. Is that seriously my only option? We can't afford to move, but I can't keep living like this. Fortunately, it kind of does seem like it. I mean, the father-in-law let you know that you were moving into a situation where your neighbors were very harassing, and an anti-harassment order didn't stop with the previous owners. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like anything else you can do. Where are you? And are there any lawyers in your area that might be able to shed some light on what you can do? I'm not a lawyer, so I can't offer any advice on that end. And is there anything the father-in-law can do? Can the father-in-law talk to the person who, I guess the 2 women own the other half of this thing? It's very sad. I really hope you find some relief soon. Story 7. Am I the a-hole for refusing to weigh myself in front of my partner? Backstory. I, female, and fiancé male have broken up over this. Need some impartial opinions if I am an a-hole. I'm very insecure about my weight and put on over 10 kilograms through COVID, work stress, and grief. I received an ultimatum in July from my fiancé that if I didn't lose 4 kilograms by my birthday yesterday, the wedding at the end of this year is off, and demanded to know what my starting weight was. I was really distressed and sad by this at the time of request that I couldn't even engage with him for a week. I even saw a psychologist to help me process it. I eventually cracked and told him my weight, 76 kilograms. We don't live together. I work really hard and lose 5 kilograms in about 5 weeks. Yesterday was my birthday. On the day of the weigh-in, he came over to visit. First thing in the morning, I want to get this over with, still upset by the whole experience, and I stood on the scale in my PJs with my weight coming in at just over 70 kilograms, which he looks at and verbalizes. He weighs himself, then asks me to come back and re-weigh myself in front of him without any clothes on. I refuse. My reasoning was that I already felt humiliated and I was mentally only prepared to do it once, which in my mind I did. He thinks I'm an a-hole because I refused to do something that was important to him. I think he's the a-hole for making me go through this experience. I texted a single trusted friend who gave me some reassuring words, essentially that I'm not crazy and this isn't my fault, which I've shared with him without saying who the friend was, female. He thinks it's not impartial and I'm bad-mouthing him. We broke up over my refusal to weigh myself in front of him without clothes on. I know people who are impartial. The internet. Am I being unreasonable or an a-hole in not doing something that was important to him? Am I an a-hole for refusing to weigh myself in front of my partner? No. Other people's business is not his business. Absolutely not. I'm working on losing weight right now. It's nobody else's business. I'm doing it for me. That's why I walk. That's why I watch what I eat. It's important to me. It's important to you that your fiancé is a certain weight? Jerk. A-hole. He's the a-hole. Completely. Absolutely not. I'm glad you broke up over this. I know you're not. You're probably going through some grief, but what do you think?
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.